Revisionist basketball history, 1992, Larry Bird was cooked.
Magic with the spin. Finds Bird. Bird for three.
Magic Johnson had already announced his retirement.
This toss by Burrell. Johnson leading the break. Finds Robinson.
Barkley, Malone, Ewing, David Robinson, none of them in 1992 had ever been to an NBA Finals.
Shut up! Will you shut up? Shut up! Shut up!
So I'm not going to let you all of a sudden be like, oh, back in my day. No.
When it comes to the mainstream NBA media, one of their current goals and main objectives is to downplay past eras like the 90s, 80s, 2000s, even the early 2010s in favor of the current era in the 2020s. And whether they're attacking Jordan, Bird, Kobe, even Tim Duncan, a lot of these false narratives, when you examine them, they fall flat on their face.
Here we go!
Now, the newest false narrative in the NBA media regards the 92 Dream Team that of course featured Jordan, Barkley, Pippen, that whole cast of characters. And with someone like Nick Wright's argument is this team, somehow they were overrated, built up nostalgia, and not as good as you remember.
Let's not do, I understand, and you don't do this, but a lot of people do, revisionist, and put that back on the screen if we can. Revisionist basketball history, 1992, Larry Bird was cooked. He was done.
So stopping Nick very, very quickly, Larry Bird 92 saying he was cooked, while he wasn't a prime Larry Bird, saying he was cooked is a tad bit too far. As looking at Bird in 92, despite major back injuries being hurt all season long, as an all-around player was still fantastic. 20.2 points per game, 9.6 boards, 6.8 assists on very impressive shooting splits. And out of the entire NBA, Larry Bird, at age 35, was the only player at top 20 in points, assists, and rebounds. And even looking at that year's Olympics, Bird as an individual player, while he wasn't prime Larry Bird, was still pretty damn good. 8 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists on 50% shooting. And pretty important note, Larry Bird on 2-point attempts shot nearly 80%. If that version of Larry Bird is considered cooked, look at someone like Klay Thompson 2016 in his prime. Klay's overall stats compared to a washed Larry Bird are still inferior.
True. Magic Johnson had already announced his retirement, okay? Christian Laettner was not in the NBA yet. Chris Mullin was fine. So that's 4 guys we can kind of dismiss to begin with.
Now, stopping Nick right there, the idea you can dismiss Larry Bird, Chris Mullin, and Magic, that's absolutely preposterous. And looking at Mullin first, in 92, one of the best players in the world, as he averaged 25 points per game, was first team All-NBA, and 6th in MVP voting. And looking at his play in the Olympics, vastly underrated. 4th in the team in scoring is under 13 points per game, and his shooting splits were otherworldly. And pretty important note, since 92 onwards, Chris Mullin is the only player ever to crack 50% from deep and 60% from the field.
Is that good? That's unbelievable.
Now looking at Magic, yes, in 92 he was retired, but was he washed, was he cooked? Not really. Magic leading up to 92, in 89 was the MVP, 90 again the MVP, and 91 finished second to Jordan, leading his team to the NBA Finals. And Magic by the late 80s, early 90s, he was expanding his overall game, being more of a scorer, not just a pass-first player. And looking at how he played in the Olympics, not too shabby. 8 points a game, 5.5 assists, 56% shooting, and 46% from deep. If you compare those overall numbers from a quote-unquote washed Magic to someone like CP3 in 08 at the peak of his powers, Magic actually was a better overall player across the board.
Barkley, Malone, Ewing, David Robinson, all those guys, John Stockton, none of them in 1992 had ever been to an NBA Finals. None of them in 1992 had actually ever been close to an NBA Finals.
So stopping it right there, the most idiotic point of the entire video. As saying guys like Barkley, Malone, Ewing, Robinson, and Stockton weren't great in 92 because they, quote, didn't make the finals or win championships is simply idiotic. For example, look at the 08 team. Was LeBron not a top 3 player on that team despite not having a championship? Of course he was. Durant in 2012 was not one of the best players in the world despite being ringless. Of course he was. And then someone like Melo in 08, 2012, and 2016. Was he not a big piece of all those teams and a great player on all those rosters? Of course he was. If you want to debate a player's legacy of their greatness on the NBA stage, we can talk championships, rings, and finals appearances all day long. But if you want to talk individual greatness, individual skill, things like that really don't matter. And very quickly looking at David Robinson 92, one of the best, most underrated seasons of all time for an NBA center, as Robinson averaged 23 points, 12 boards, nearly 5 blocks, 2 steals, on 55% shooting. And David Robinson in his day, and even compared to now, was a freak athlete, 7 foot tall, 240 pounds, and built like a tank. And in 92, was third MVP, first team all defense, and the DPOY. And if you combine blocks and steals, Robinson this year averaged 6.8 per game. Out of any year on record, that is the most all time. And in terms of defensive plus minus for an NBA starter, Robinson 92 is the best player in league history.
He was the best guy around.
And even looking at someone like Pat Ewing, who was second team All-NBA, in large part due to his era and David Robinson. Ewing in 92 was a great NBA player and a great 7-footer in his own right. As 92, 3 blocks per game, 1.1 steals, with 5th MVP voting, and second team All-Defense. And of course, if Ewing was in a different era with weaker centers, this guy would have been a perennial first-team All-NBA player and first-team All-Defensive player. But unfortunately for him, he played in the 90s, with the best centers in league history. Now, looking at someone like Charles Barkley, not the defensive player Ewing and Robinson were, but as an all-around offensive force by the early 90s, late 80s, was peaking as an individual player. As Chuck from 88 to 91 was first-team All-NBA every single season, and his worst finish in the MVP voting was 6th place. And looking at Chuck's play in the Olympics, I mean, he was the best player on Team USA and put out one of the best performances in USA history, averaging 18 points per game, 4.1 boards, 2.4 offensive boards, nearly 3 steals on 71% shooting. In all of Team USA history post-92, there's only one guy that being Kevin Durant who's averaged more points per game in an Olympics.
He was special.
Now, last but not least, we have Stockton and Malone. And these two guys, despite being ringless, are still regarded as one of the best players in league history. And looking at Stockton in 92, second team All-NBA and second team All-Defense. Also averaged 14 assists per game, the NBA's leader, and 3.0 steals, also the best in the NBA. I mean, Stockton at this point was the prototypical NBA point guard you want on your team. Shot 41% from deep, a great defender, great scorer, made the right pass, could make every pass, and knocked down open jump shots when it was called upon him. And looking at Karl Malone, how do you feel about him personally? This guy as an individual basketball player was a great player who dominated in any era. As looking at late 80s, early 90s Karl Malone, for 4 straight years, was first team All-NBA and top 5 in MVP voting. So that right there is the end of the video. And again, when it comes to the mainstream media, specifically Nick Wright, they'll downplay every era pre-2003. And the only reason for doing that is to boost up the current era and make it seem like they're better in all facets, when in reality, they're far from it. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.